Good morning, everybody. A little coffee time in the studio while the hour is still pretty early. And I'm happy to be, out here just getting ready for a new day. It's the 12th and it's the solar eclipse happening, which isn't going to be visible here. But nonetheless, a good day for doing what you naturally want to do. So I'm going to go out and try to make another plein air painting video today. One of the things I've been thinking about is exploring and trying to find some new spots. So that's basically what I'm thinking about at this time. It's just where I'm going to go. I have an idea on that, so time to get the paint bag and come over to the truck and start getting things loaded up. And I look forward to giving you some more updates on the journey today because I'm excited about making the new painting. So here we go. Not until I'm done drinking my cup of coffee though. We'll see what's up with that. Well, I'm about ready to launch for my plein air trip. And I think the only thing about exploring a new place is we don't really know what to expect. And I did a little bit of research and found out that it'd be about a 3-mile hike in to get where I'm looking to go with my heavier paint kit, the oil painting kit. So I went ahead and loaded up the PK Ripper. I'm gonna, instead of hiking with poles and snake guards, I think I'm going to ride the bike with my backpack and see if I can take care of that mile or 3 miles pretty quickly and then get to a spot where I can paint. So that's a change. I've never done that before. We'll see how this goes. Ready to launch. And one thing we got going out here are the volunteer sunflowers. I love these things because we allow them to be in this part of the driveway because it creates like a natural beauty and pollination and shade spot for the season. And then when wintertime comes and these turn into brown sticks up in the air with nothing on them, my son likes to come out with this sword and hack them down. I'll get pictures of that later. But there are all types of birds and insects, pollinators, but once the seeds are there, the finches and things start hanging upside down and pulling out seeds and eating them. So I think that's cool. It's fun to, as a Kansan, to have the sunflowers spreading around out here as a invasive, no, I'm kidding. But they are pretty. We do control them, except for just like right here in our yard. They're real pretty. But I just wanted to show you, I got the truck loaded up and ready to go with the bike. I got my paint gear inside. I always have too much stuff, snake guards and video equipment and hats, and like if I change my plan or whatever, hopefully I got what I need. And I made a sandwich. I have some coffee. I got my action camera for picking up. Got Idea Ghost on the scene. So basically, here we go. Time to rock out on the journey of letting you know that I'm getting close to being 53 years old. I'm almost a 53-year-old painter that's trying to get my creative career really going in full force. So this is a painting mission locally to go do a plein air review and give you some insight as to how I put paintings together in about an hour. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Here we go. So I'm in the Devil's Backbone open space, and I'm heading down this bike trail with one brake and one gear, squeaky brake. It's not really technical, but I mean, the weight does throw me off a little bit. It's not like a flat. Yeah, I don't have a helmet on. I didn't even think about that. See a lot of here, there's water there. So you guys, one thing I realized is my tires are way underinflated for out here. If I didn't already pop my tire, I felt a rim already. So I need to be careful not to pop my tire. It's actually almost flat. All right, I'm gonna try to get a little farther out. So I'm gonna turn this off for a minute. Rock and roll. It's beautiful. Take a peek. There's houses over there. So guys, this is funny because I got everything set up in this spot because I saw this truck fender over here that I thought was cool. And I was like, anyways, so let me switch with my bike where I can add the water bottles more easily to my bike so they're not in my pack, and carry, you know, a spare and whatnot. We'll need to think of that in the future. Anyways, I'm gonna set up here because basically I need to get painting quick before I dehydrate and the weather changes. One thing that's nice about this spot that I'm at is it's pretty breezy. So, thankful for that. And any chance I get to do some plein air painting, it's a good day, right? So I just gotta get my little miniature articulation together for this thing. I think that basically I will be in some type of a scenario like this, and then I get my further adjustments out of the way. All right. Sometimes it takes a little while to get everything up to spec. And working with wind and gravity. So I'm going to start out with one of my Now I got my last ampersand panel here, which is kind of like a hardboard. It's going to be masonite. It should take a drawing really well. I'll probably pull this off to do my drawing, but I just wanted to get things set up in the basic format and then start working on this thing. That's pretty much how that'll be. I haven't got my paint out yet, but that's coming next. I got everything set up. I'm about ready to paint. So I just want to give you an overview. PK still has air. I got sun and a little bit of water. And I'm going to be setting up my palette next and looking this way. So I'll try to get this set up and start filming. Yo. All right. I'm gonna hope the camera doesn't blow off the bike. I'm gonna try to paint what I see. I think the thing about today is you're not gonna be able to see exactly what I'm painting from the camera angle, but hopefully you'll be able to see it as I build the painting. So I'm looking at some rock area. There's red, there's blue, there's green, there's rocks. There's just a little bit of mountains in the very background that are kind of a blue-gray color. Which I'll give an overview of what I'm painting like when I'm done. So, you know, I'm not laying out my palette just yet. Just kind of looking at where I want this stuff to exist. How big will it be, the scale? That's basically, okay. So there's some really nice stuff going on with diagonals and overlap. So the gentleman that I met that was running, his name was Jeff, and he told me that this used to be old gypsum mines out here for plastering houses, you know, with like horsehair and everything, maybe up until the 1930s or so, until drywall became all the rage and took over. So I'd assume that when he talks about trailings and gypsum, that might be what these white chunks are. They're kind of like everywhere, and a lot of the results of the little hills and things are actually, I guess, tailing piles is what those might be called. All right, I'm finding my sweet spot here. Kind of honing in on the major harmonies and elements. I mean, it's so subtle what's going on. And then there's this really cool rock rocky outcropping here. This is part of the Devil's Backbone formations that this area is known for. And I'm only going to capture like a small fraction of it in this painting, because I think the idea today is to have a successful painting mission and get out of here in one piece, given all of the parameters that we've added to the mix for today. New place, bicycle. It's a big day, you know. Plus, this is the 12th is the day of the solar eclipse here, so it's a good day to be doing what we're doing. I think I see a huge gypsum chunk over here, actually. There's like all these layers on it. Maybe I can get a photograph of that later. So I'm probably gonna say that this might be enough, what I have right here, for my underdrawing. And then usually what I do is I give it a little spray and wipe the graphite into the surface a little bit so that it just doesn't like come off into the paint everywhere. Excuse me, I set that up backwards. That's what happened there. Okay, we're about time to party with paint, my people. Now I don't know if I'm going to get a bigger painting done today, but we shall see. I'm basically ready to start painting. So that's exciting. Got my rubber gloves to keep the oil paint at bay. I think in kind of standard fashion, I'm going to put more white on my palette than anything else, because I get started with the blue up in the sky, you know, kind of paint that down. We've always got this like Colorado blue, which is pretty. Oh, I don't know, I think of it as being kind of, it's got a lot of atmosphere in it. Again, I'm using different versions of water-based oils today. I've got Royal Talons and Windsor and Newton, and I intermix them, you know. I'm going to put some burnt umber on here, just a dollop. going to put a little bit of this cadmium orange hue next to that. We got a helicopter up there. I'm going to go for some permanent yellow light here. Just a touch up top. You know, this is part of my intuitive palette selection where I just kind of look at what's out there. You know, for my darks, I think I'm going to grab some of this permanent green deep. I like this stuff as kind of a complement to perhaps a phthalo or a ultramarine blue. To hit up with that umber, sometimes it helps. So I've got ultramarine. Let's try a little bit of this ultramarine today. I'm gonna put a dollop of that up in the corner because that's almost gonna be like my black for right now. And then I think I'm about to stop here with my last selection being some cerulean hue, which I'll put down here. No, my first thing that I want to do is see if I can get some of my sky color mixed. Oh, this is funny. My odorless mineral spirits came apart in my bag and I don't have any left. It leaked out in there. I'm gonna have to just let this dry. I'm gonna put that on the shadow side to dry. Try to keep the paints kind of in the shade for a minute. Now kind of the next important thing I got to do is get my brushes out. A little Pure Gum. Hope to be sponsored by them someday. I like their chocolate and their cinnamon and the blue mint. I got more brushes available, but I always get out my starter kit first, which is like my kind of like mini brush kit that I use until it's too dirty. All right, I'm gonna spray my water-based oils just a bit. Get my brush, get it wet. I'm gonna start by pulling white down onto my palette so that I can start to mix into it. Because I actually use a lot of white. And then down here, I touch the ultramarine blue and touch the cerulean. See what starts to happen. I don't expect you to be able to see the palette too well, but I'll be putting this up top in a minute. Right now what I'm doing is just loading my brush up with paint. I got the brush kind of wet, and now I'm getting kind of a soupy paint mixture in here. And I think I'm getting real close to having what I'm looking for here. It's actually kind of dark in the... It looks like there's going to be storms coming in. So I'm going to go with this. I'm just going to paint over my rocks and everything because usually you can kind of see through it. I just carry this down a little ways. I'm not looking to paint out everything, but most of what I want to do in the sky, I try to get done fairly quickly in the beginning, and I try not to like go back a whole lot, if I can help it. So any of like the variations in the clouds and stuff, And I mentioned there's like darker spots down low. They're like down here. See, because in my opinion, when you come back later and you paint the stuff around it, it's just going to sit more appropriately in your space. I'm trying to soften that stuff up a little bit. I can always go in now and add some more elements. So I'm going to let that brush soak for a minute. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to start trying to extract and paint some other things. And I'm moving on to my brushes that allow me to cover some ground with different hues. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some reds down first. So I've got this orange up here, pulling it into some white. And then, I might just barely touch the umber in there because that kind of almost like cools it down. It barely makes it darker, it almost grays it out a little bit. So I noticed on this hill, got some good reds like right here. Excuse me. There's some dust floating around. Everything behind that is less orange as far as I can tell. And I do see some more of this like umber, and I think I actually need a little bit of, I saw this earlier, some of this red, cad deep red hue. Let's see if that helps us with the umber. You know, the raw umber is darker, but it's almost kind of cool. Yeah, there we go. Bring the cad red into it, and even if it's a simulation like the hue, helps to tighten that up a little bit. So this is exciting. I've got this stuff over here. It might be a little bit exaggerated right now, but I can always tone it down, you know. I see just like random kind of smatterings of similar stuff going on up here. Not too much. All right, now I'm going to think about the green areas for just a moment. There's lots of nice, like, it's almost like a sage green. So I'm going to pull this, the green that I have on the palette here. I'm going to add a touch of the yellow to it. It's a little bit minty. A little more yellow. A little orange. I'm gonna try to put some gray into it a little bit. I start to kind of like cross mix the palette at some point. A little more of that. I've got a fly friend going around that is telling me what's up. All right, I think this is about where we're at, so I'm gonna start filling in my hill with the kind of like gray-green base layer is what I'll call this. It's okay if we paint over the reds and the warm colors that I previously established. Because one thing that's nice about these water-based oils is they kind of flash dry for you, and then you can paint over them pretty easily. So now I see a real exciting band of like weird kind of darker warmth over here. It kind of registers to me as like a putty color, but it definitely goes back in space. It's not quite as warm. I'm going to add to this, but just want to get that spot taken care of real quick. Because then I see some fun little exchanges on the hills and before I get to the rocks where I have some darker green. I'll come back to that, I think, in just a moment. Although I would like to add, I'd say, the rest of this. There's like these little green shrubby things, and it's generally darker back here, so I'm gonna try to get this established. Goes right through here. Basically going for green. Hello.
How you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Hope you're having a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. See some lighter areas back here that I'm just kind of adding into the fray. And then it's almost like I can add some more yellow to this, I think. But I'm getting close to the very back part here where I'm going to start getting into the fun rocks and things. But I see some like yellowish orange back here. It changes a little bit. Actually looks better than that. All right, now I need to fill in. There's this little area back here. There's kind of like a critical little brownish gray, a little bit of red in here. It's actually warmer than you'd think. So something like this. There we go. Right, so now I actually get to start to build the little things I've been looking forward to. Rocks that are over on the edge. So I'm gonna get going with that next. This is the dark stuff. This is where I'm gonna strike my umber down and hopefully start to get rid of it. But it does have to be grayed out quite a bit. So I'm starting to just add it to some other areas of the palette. Pretty dark, kind of like throw everything at it here. We're doing the kitchen sink. This is looking pretty nice, y'all. All right, here we go. So I'm going to scoot my palette in a little bit too so I can get closer here. You know, basically what I'm looking for is just the shadow sides of the rocks right now, because there's other stuff going on than just the dark things, you know. And then to start getting some variation. Wow, this is a lot of fun. And you know, of course you got to say how all of this is an abstraction. Even painting from life in plein air, it's all an interpretation. So if I can say that so it sounds better, it is an interpretation, regardless of how hard we try to be like accurate or realistic. I think the main thing I try to capture is some of the colors of the scene. Shapes and colors, you know, are what I'm going for. And if I walk away from here kind of having a decent memory of like, oh yeah, that feels pretty accurate as to what it felt like that day, then I feel good about it. Because you know, like I always say, we've only got about an hour and a half, a couple hours, maybe 3, depending on how the weather is and what's happening. You know what I'm saying? All right, I'm going to warm this up a little bit. Going for more of this blue and green to get some cooler, darker brown to put in the shadow side. Just barely cutting it, but it just might do the trick. There's just some like spots up there that are so intriguing because you can tell that there's just like everything's connected and there's little intriguing areas. I think if anything, I'll need to try to add a little bit more light in a couple areas. And I think I can work on warming this up a little bit and bringing this outcropping down here, kind of like that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is go back into my sky color. I'm going to see if I want to do anything back there, because I see some like clouds and things moving in. I think before my water gets any dirtier, I want to go for almost like some clouds that have a little bit of warmth to them, believe it or not. It's like, yeah, I actually think it's like that. Kind of like back here. It's kind of crazy. I see some things happening that are kind of exciting with like some yellow, kind of like golden, weird golden yellow sky stuff. Like I'm just going to try to, if I can capture that. I might have to strike this down a little bit, but almost feels like the sky's looking pretty nice back there, Okay, so yeah, that sky looks pretty crazy. What I think I'm going to do real quick on this is give myself a little bit of a real careful dry brush on this, not like anything too crazy. Just almost want to soften it up a little bit. Middle there. There we go. Oh, I got a hair on there, so I gotta take that off with my palette knife. There we go. It's actually a brush hair from the brush I just used. All right, everybody, we're getting close to me tying this thing up in a minute. I'm doing some final details. So I'm just gonna check and make sure we're still recording here. All right. I'm kind of surprised my phone hasn't overheated. Besides myself, so I'm gonna continue painting here and try to add some more of these details and things that I'm excited about. All right, so I think I'm gonna try to bring some, I might need some more paint actually. Some of this kind of reddish orange action. Strange little fly bug bee is on my glove with a little spiky nose thing. There it goes. What up, dude? You know, I think I'm getting close, everybody. I'm gonna be close to calling this thing. I might need a little contrast or something somewhere. And I like the idea of getting some more of these little bushy things kind of like captured, so see if I can get some of that without it just turning into a mess. There's actually like a little tree up here maybe. There's some of these like dots of brush back here. I can always try to knock these back a little bit, if you will. I think that's actually helping because it is like a little bit darker back there. Separate that area of the foreground or midground from the background. Yeah. This is a cool spot out here, I gotta say. I think I'm almost done. I could probably do a little more work with some of this stuff in here. Need to get it lightened up a little bit. Get some kind of compromise tones in here. There we go. Stuff that can kind of exist and not really interrupt things too much. And my leg's about starting to fall asleep, everybody, so it's going to be time for me to show you a view of this before I break everything down, which is pretty much what I'm about to do here. I'm just trying to see if there's anything in the blue sky area that I could adjust back there as kind of a final touch back there. I think that might be what I got now, except I'm going to actually add a little bit of a darker line back here, a linebacker, which is going to be some rock coming down right here. can get this to take. There we go. Just looking to get that just to be a little bit darker. Darker and warmer than the sky area and the mountain area. I think that'll do it, everybody. As I say, one last little touch right here and right there. All right, so we're gonna say for the paint session at Devil's Backbone as completed. I'm not going to do a larger painting today, although I did come prepared. We'll save that for a day when I have some more time and some more water and a tire that barely has any air. So this has been fun, everybody. New experience, new place. Got it done. I'll have a painting to reflect on tomorrow. And I just wanted to say that if you've still got a little bit of a ember, you can make that spark happen. So don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. Get out there and make it happen. Artberserk saying, do what you do. Hope you have fun out there. Peace. Right, and before I clean up, here's a little overview of the painting here, and then the view out here that I was kind of looking at, you know, something around here, and then coming down here. All right, time to clean up. Look at all this stuff. Here we go. Well, I got all packed up. My backpack feels heavier. I'm probably gonna have to walk the bike for a little ways, but here we go. Before we can call the paint mission a success, I gotta get back to the truck and get home. So let's see if I can take you on just a piece of this before I have to pack the camera away. Breaking my little tripod thing. Here we go. Painting on the PK Ripper. Look at that. Don't pop your tire, dude. Downhill club. It was harder on the way up. Now we're rocking the single track. Whoop-de-doos. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yo, we're coasting. Got a Plein Air painting in my backpack. I'm smiling. I got my future in my knapsack. Every day we're gonna be painting, we're gonna be hitting the trail, let the journey begin. Monetary capitalization, we're gonna win. Trail hunting, seeking the paint job. Just remember to not get a flat and be a slob. Oh no, that's good for views. Oh, I'm stuck in Death Valley on my roller skates. Has anybody got any air? I already ate my beef jerky in my sippy cup. All right, we're getting back to civilization. I didn't think I'd be able to take on this much of the ride, because it gets interesting here in a minute. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo. Artberserk flying the PK Ripper at you. Painting and playing. Check this out, y'all. 50 pounds on my back. Keeps me going fast. Whoa, I hear my tires squelching out in the background. Oh man, this is so dang fun. What the heck? is my job, yo. Welcome to my office. It's freaking awesome. This is my job, yo. Oop, about squelched my tire off there. That ain't my job. Well, I gotta say, Jeff was right about hitting up that other area. I think that was worth it. All right. This is where I'm probably gonna have to walk, so I'm gonna turn this thing off. I'm getting close to the truck. This is a pretty sweet spot. Getting close to the truck. What up? Almost there. I made it back. Got a painting in the backpack. No flat tire, but running low pressure. We get loaded up. I'm just saying for the record, if I ever carry a 50-pound backpack and ride about 3 extra miles to make a plein air painting, it's gonna cost more. Just saying, even the prints, because, yo, this was not an easy one, but it was fun as heck. That's all I gotta say. No regrets. Yo, I almost made it home. That painting sesh was lit. I'm kind of tired as fuck, you know what I'm saying? What's up?